It wasn't about Alder at all. Thom Matthan, written by Sharon Conyers, co-author Sarah Micah. Continued on. Alexandra then took Alder by her arm and pulled it. Alexandra then ran into the 10th chamber as she lay down on her pad and her pillow. As she cried out her eyes, as she felt the piercing nails of the headmaid in her skin, her pale skin. Alexandra then sat within the wooden floors as she screamed out loudly, "Ah!" For it wasn't about Alder at all, for she was secretly rich and was sent to the Bella Castle to be only a headmaid. Alexandra's note to the Parliament. Here, I sit within the 12th chamber as I write my concerns. For all of my relatives are filthy rich, yet you send me amongst you all to clean up piss and shit? Alexandra then began to hear the voices of her ancestors from 100 years prior. And within a loud voice they said, "You must do it all on your own," thought it was God, and immediately lifted her head upon her pen and her parchment. For Alexandra knew deeply that she may never, ever, ever measure up to her ancestors. "For day to day is going along," she said, "and it feels as nothing at all is moving along for me. Therefore, I humble myself." Alexandra, the Headmaid, 1842. Thom Matthan, written by Sharon Conyers, co-author Sarah Micah. Chapter 6. Thy Mixed Sisters. Part 1. "Shh! Our dad," said Sandra, the chambermaid from the land of Ireland. "Oh, why hush? We're sisters," said Azaria, the kitchen maid from the land of Somali. "Why, that's right. We most certainly are that. However, we mustn't touch one another, neither speak at all." Azaria did not understand what Sandra had meant by this. "We must not snatch away attention from thy father." "What father?" Sandra had demanded. Azaria then leaned back her entire posture as she slowly replied to her, "The one who sits in heaven." Sandra then laid down her lampstand, then leaned forward as if to kiss her. But instead, she screamed out loudly to her, "What father?" Sandra was a Catholic, Azaria a pure Christian. She simply thought that Azaria was referring to the father at the altar. "For this is much, much more of a natural experience rather than a spiritual one," Sandra proclaimed. Azaria continued on in her own heart. "If ye snatch away attention from thy Lord then, and everyone will indirectly take his attention away from him and put it upon us instead, then we will have to act." Sandra made a face. "You mean as in the theaters?" "No," said Azaria. "I mean as in the Holy Scriptures." Sandra disagreed. Just then, Alder the hermit maid entered the main hall. Then hushed the entire conversation. Thom Matthan, written by Sharon Conyers, co-author Sarah Micah. Chapter 6. Thy Mixed Sisters, Part 2. Sandra awoke that next morning at approximately 10 a.m. As she pranced into the 12th chamber, she then laid her eyes upon a portrait of herself while viewed as a black woman. Her precious features were called into darkness, as so she had called it. Just then, Azaria, the kitchen maid from the land of Somali, entered the 12th chamber as well. Thy mixed sister wore a white gown with a silver belt, which symbolized her level of wealth within the Bella Castle. Sandra began to feel guilt feelings inside as she stared on at Azaria. For her words, as she had recalled it, called into darkness. Sandra did change the tune to her song concerning this. For who cannot know that two sisters can be related, yet be of different blood, yet still the same blood? Her point was confusing. However, Azaria understood everything she had meant. Azaria just stood there looking at Sandra with her mouth wide open while feeling timid inside as she held her white gown. Sandra continued to flip out as most of the Irish do. Oh, well then, she claimed. What then was the great deal about college? Oh, well then, said Sandra. Go back there then. This time, do not cheat upon your tests. The two mixed sisters then exited the 12th chamber that morning, both holding one another by each hand, yet now ghostly and filling, while exiting the 12th chamber, both looking about, simple. Thom Matthan, written by Sharon Conyers, co-author Sarah Micah. Chapter 6, Thy Mixed Sisters, Part 3. Bonjour, said the Duchess. I don't beseech that it's going to be a good day, he said. The king, excuse-moi, for she was tired of nothing being okay. The Duchess was from the land of France, as she sat within the 12th chamber that morning. She then let down her red curly hair, which fell all the way down to the edges of her feet, which was long as a Native American woman's. The rest of the artistic circle had peeping Tom watched her. Mercy! Buke up, said the Duke, for he had now seen that it would be perfectly fine for the Duchess to be excused. Jesus! Salabatia! Which was the truth, for they were illegally married to one another. However, the Duke was certainly married from a fine woman from the land of Somalia. The Duke also held two other little secrets, which would slowly but surely be revealed. The Duke bent forward to smack her for it still, as he spoke in Italian instead. Fiore Lito, which meant flower bed, which was a nickname he had given the Duchess the moment they were legally married. The Duchess did not understand his new speech, neither his backhand. Thom Matthan, written by Sharon Conyers, co-author Sarah Micah. Coming soon, Chapter 7, The Parliament, written by Sharon Conyers only, the original author. Coming soon, Pen and Parchment, by me, inspiring handwriting book writer, Sarah Micah.